Good afternoon, YouTubers. Smithy here, doing yet another little video. Basically, I'm new to YouTube and I thought I'd just run my guitars by you guys, see if anyone would just like to see a few guitars. So this little guitar here, going on from my last video, I showed you last time my vintage Strat, my Les Paul and my black telly, which is a rosewood board. This guitar here I got from a good friend of mine not so long ago, probably about 2011, 12 maybe, and it's a super light custom shop no-caster, so it's based on the old 51 guitars at 1951 when Fender obviously had to cease and desist using the broadcaster name. So good old Leo snipped his logos and he just put up here Fender. So during the year, that year of 51, these guitars were just known as no-casters. They were still a Telecaster, obviously two pickups and well, basically a broadcaster, but he couldn't use that name anymore, as most of us would know. Anyway, it's a great little guitar. It's very light, very lightweight. A good friend of mine had it, as I say, for some time, used it a little bit, and when I heard him gig it one evening, long ago in the dim and distant past, when we could do gigs, it sounded amazing. He was actually playing slide on it, which I don't do, so it was set up slightly differently at that time. But it sounded absolutely fantastic. It was just stand out, you know, when suddenly the old dirt lugholes prick up and you think, what? Yeah, he was a good player as well, still is a good player. But anyway, yeah, so this guitar is very, very live sounding. Sounds great, very woody. This is the neck position, neck pickup. And one of the main differences with this particular guitar, it was obviously custom ordered, not by him, not by my friend, but the person who obviously ordered this guitar. He ordered it with a slim neck, because normally 50s tellies, as most of you will also know, have a big old fat baseball neck. So this is a slim necked guitar, very playable, and that's one of the things that also attracted me to it. And plus the fact it's got a 4-position switch, so we have a traditional telly wiring, but with one extra position, which happens to be in this position. So just coming back one click from the neck position, you get this Stratty. It's more of an outer phase. So I think what it is these two pickups working together, but they're working in parallel, not series. So you get more of a clicky sort of. It's good for you sort of. Sort of funky sounding things. It's really great for that. I thought I may well have swapped it out and just had a standard Telecaster. You know, the 3 positions that you normally get with the telly, but I've grown to really like it, so I've kept it. So that's that position. Then going back one further, you've got still these 2 pickups, but in series, so a la traditional telly. So sounds quite fat and probably a little bit more output with that position. Also just say that the tone position, the tone pot on this guitar is global. In other words, it works in all positions, in all pickup selections. So you've got tone options on every pickup selection. The last and probably the best is this Repro flat pole 50s pickup, custom shop pickup, which is, I think they nailed it with this. They got it so right. It's got all that telly twang without being too coarse and too toppy, so it's yeah, it's definitely got that telly twang, you know, without taking your head off, and it really cuts through in a mix. It sounds great overdriven as well. Great. I'm just going to flick my delay off quickly. Yeah, so there it is. I think it's about 2010 Nocaster replica, a custom shop, and it's a fantastic guitar. I love it, use it a lot, and so that is that one. Moving on. Bearing with, very slick. All this is very slick and edited, like all the professionals do on YouTube, of course. So this here is another Stratocaster of mine. This is based on a 61 Strat, which I acquired back in the late 90s. Quite an interesting story. I found it in Brighton, in the glorious JK, which is a well-known music store. And I wasn't particularly looking for a Strat, but this guitar turned up with a certain gentleman which some of you may have heard of. His name is Gwyn Ashton. Now, he's an Australian blues rock guitar player. He's had several of his own bands. Fabulous player, really raw, what I would consider to be a proper blues player. He also had for a while a duo, just himself and a drummer, that they used to go around doing gigs just playing blues. I think he did an album or two. But Gwen's a lovely guy. I haven't seen him for many years, but on that particular day I happened to be in the shop at the same time. He brought this guitar, he brought a couple of other electrics that he wanted to part exchange for an ES-125, which is obviously a jazz box, a Gibson. It was 1959, so it was a nice guitar, vintage guitar. And he was doing a deal with one of the lads that I knew quite well in the shop there. So yeah, I ended up, after he'd done the deal, I had my eye on this and I thought, well, it's a great guitar. It didn't always look like this. It's got a proper replica, so it had white guard. This pickup I've changed. This is now a stacked humbucker, like a single Duncan. But I've got the other single coil that was in here, and they are Voodoo pickups, which are an American make, which apparently don't exist anymore. But again, this guitar was made by my friend in Cornwall, now in Devon actually, but so it's a custom build. It's not a custom shop guitar, but it's a fabulous Strat. The neck on it is particularly fantastic. So yeah, I've had this guitar and used it probably as my main guitar for ever since, really. I always tend to take it to gigs and I always tend to play it. So I'll just run through the pickups. Again, the neck pickup sounds like this. pickup. So the next position, this is a 5-position switch on this guitar, obviously. Middle position. So yeah, the out of phase position here, this is a Little 59, Seymour Duncan Little 59, which is a take on a PAF, I think. So the out of phase still sounds really quite authentic. Yeah, still sounds quite nice and bright and spanky. And then the humbucker on its own is like this. So not massively high output. Sounds quite nice driven. Yeah, so great. This is, as I say, got a bit of a story. Love guitar with a story. We meet these guitars, don't we, occasionally, as all us guitarists know and have been through, and we think, oh dear, I've just fallen in love. So this is one that I fell in love with, and I will always have. So yeah, that's that one. I shall now just do another quick swap. Slick as you like. So this here is a 2000-ish, no, it's 2009, 10 again, I think this guitar was made. Obvious to most of you, it is a PRS and it's a McCarty 58. Now I've had 2 previous PRSs to this one. Both were custom 22s, I believe. Fabulous looking guitars, absolutely stunning build on them. Cannot fault anything about Paul Reed Smith and his manufacturing. It is absolutely top notch. The only, not a problem, but the only thing I felt about those other 2 previous PRSs were that they were just a little bit soulless to me. They did exactly what they said on the tin, but they didn't have that certain something, and I think we all kind of know what that certain something is when you get a feel from a guitar, and you know you've connected with something, you know, and it's the way it rings, it's the weight, it's the feel of the neck, it's all of those things that we all is very individual, shall we say, to each player. So I was kind of looking, because I was a little bit disappointed in that I didn't bond with those other PRSs, and I let them go, as we do. And then one day I was looking and I thought I really would like a PRS, and this was for sale at World Guitars, which is in Gloucestershire, and which was dear old Jeff Pumfret, who was the owner and founder of originally Machine Head Music, as some of you will remember, He had 2 stores back in the heyday, both in Essex, one in Harlow and the other one I can't remember where it was. But Jeff was a lovely, lovely guy, and he'd obviously decided to open up this shop in Gloucestershire where he'd moved. And I went up there, and actually the first time I went up there is when I met him, because I actually bought my PRS amp from him, the one that I'm playing through here today. So I did meet him, but this guitar was another visit there, and I'd seen it on the website, and I wanted to try their latest sort of range, and this was second hand, but it's mint, it's ain't got a mark on it. So anyway, long story short, went up there, Jeff wasn't there that time, which was, I was a bit disappointed because he was such a good laugh, such a lovely guy. The first time I met him, I went with a very good friend of mine. Just a little anecdote, I've been friends with this guy for 30 odd years. He's a wonderful friend and lifelong friend of mine. But I would consider him to be a pretty good looking sort of chap. And as soon as we arrived there, Jeff met us and he made us a cup of coffee, and he's as friendly as anything. And he turned around to us and he went, "You two boys gay then?" We sort of looked at each other and collapsed laughing. And he said, I thought it was quite obvious the way you pitched up together and all this sort of stuff, and you must be gay boys. But that was Jeff, that's just what he was like. And he certainly didn't mean anything by it, only that he was just winding us up. He used to spend quite a lot of time winding people up. Yeah, I digress. But anyway, back to this guitar. I found it. I think I believe he passed away by then, because very, very sadly he did die far too young. I think he was 56 or 58 or something. Terrible loss to the guitar community, as I say, such a character. But we lost him too early. But anyway, yeah, this guitar turned up, and I played several others, and then they brought this to me, and I played it, and I thought, you know what? This guitar has just got it. Whatever it is, it's the neck. And it's the simplicity of the operation as well. The only thing that I've changed on this guitar, just because I think it's more practical, I don't know whether Paul Reed Smith would agree with me, but on its volume and tone, on the original guitar, the single coil option, so you can split these coils. The single coil option was operated by a pull, so you click the pot upwards to get your single coil. Now I find, I don't know about any of you, but I find that to be, in the heat of battle, a difficult thing to do, especially when you've got sweaty fingers, because I sweat a lot anyway. So I opted to change for a push-push. So this here pot is push, the full humbucker. To split the coil, just push. Yeah, so it's great. Excuse the bad playing, but this is not about playing really, particularly. Not yet. I might do some playing stuff later, in later videos, but this is just about showing these guitars to you really. So the middle position, both pickups working. Split the coils. It's quite stratty. Yeah, and then obviously the bridge, full humbucker. Sounds great overdriven. coil for that sort of. Yeah, so I immediately bonded with this guitar. It's also very light in weight. It's only got the moon inlays, so I haven't got the birds, but do you know what? I really like the plainness of it. It's got a pretty top, and it's just more vintage style really. It's got the vintage style tuners on there, the Klusons. So yeah, and I think these guitars, the ones that I'm showing you now and what this video and the previous video, they're all keepers for me. They're all guitars that it's taken me a long time and a lot of different guitars, but eventually I've got to this set of 6 guitars that I can't fault them. Every time I pick them up, I still love them. I'm yet to fall out of love with them. So, you know, it's well worth spending the time, and you have to go through a few of these guitars, you know, and find ones that you bond with for whatever reason. And once you do, you know, try and hang on to them if you can, because, you know, there's certain things that are very hard to get back once you've lost them, if you see what I mean. So there we go. So I've been Smithy, or Drew if you prefer. The channel is called Smith Guitar Channel. I wanted to call it Smithy's Guitar Channel, but I obviously messed up in the heading on that. So if you want to subscribe, please hit the bell icon. I'd love to hear from you. Make a comment. I'll come back to you. I'm new with all this stuff and technology. I'm not very good at anyway, because I'm a man of a certain age. But I will try to carry on, do some more stuff, and you know, hopefully you might find it interesting. If you don't, got a remote control, back up, choose something else. Anyway guys, great to talk to you. Take care, over and out.